Hey everybody, this is a continuation of how you can play in the key of E. This one is going to be a little more intermediate advanced as we head up the neck a little ways to formulate these chords. But anyone can play these. You just may not understand exactly what you're playing or how they're formed. That doesn't really matter. Just know what they are, how to hold your hand, and when to use them on a lighter part of a song or maybe on the beginning of a song when it needs to feel a little bit more open and have room for the song to build into the chorus where you're going to play more on the low end of the guitar to give it more energy. So starting out, our first chord is the root chord, that'd be the E, and we're actually going to start here in the 7th fret on the A string with our pointer finger. Now remember I talked last time about this shape that we had for our B and our C sharp minor. We're actually going to use that exact same shape, and you're going to see how that comes into play. We're going to put it right here in the 7th and 9th fret. So the A string in the 7th fret, the D and the G string with our ring finger and pinky in the 9th fret. And you're actually going to play all the strings. And it's part of what gives this such a great sound, is you can play all the strings even though you're way up here and some of them are open. So this is actually an E chord. See, there's no real difference in the notes that are being played. So we've got an E chord right here, way up the neck. So what can we do to play an A chord? Well, there's two things. We could slide way down here and play the A2 that I showed you. Again, these fingers never change position. They just slid from the 7th fret down to the 2nd. But we can actually play it here as well. Don't move these fingers at all. Take this finger off the A string, and then that A becomes open and becomes the root of the next chord. So all we need to do then is deaden the E string so that it doesn't make any noise. And we can go from E to A by only dropping one finger. And we're in this great position way up here up the neck where these strings have a little higher resonant sound. They can cut through in a little different way as part of a song. So I'm just going from E to A versus the difference being down here. See how that has a little more of a full sound, a little more energy? That might be for verse 2 or the chorus or the bridge. So anyway, starting right here. Now how do we play a B? Well, we simply add our pointer finger again, these two don't move, to the 7th fret on the E string. So there's our B. Again, it's truthfully a B sus, but in most cases that will not matter. It's a great sound. If you're playing these chords, most of the time you're the lead instrument on that section of the song, and you're sort of setting the tone for that song. No one's going to be fighting with you on the notes of that chord. So we play that B sustain, and then we can go back to our E. So again, this is the same idea from down here, E, A, B sustain. We're just able to do it all in between the 7th and 9th frets. So then what do you do to play a C sharp minor? Well, again, it's real similar. These two fingers do not move. You take your middle finger and put it in the 9th fret on the E string, right above those two fingers, and create that stack, just like we did on the cheater G sharp minor, except that we're up here in the 9th fret. And we're going to deaden the A string by just letting our middle finger barely touch it as we fret the C sharp here. And again, we can play all the strings. So all four of our major chords that we need to know for the key of E are all right here. The E, the B, the C sharp minor, and the A. Now one of the reasons I like to do this is there's something you can do again that makes you sound better than you are, which we all like. So I can actually do what I call rocking a note back and forth. I can take my middle finger and put it right behind my pinky and fret this note in the 8th fret on the G string. So it doesn't change the sound at all. I'm still playing the same E I showed you. I've just added this finger, which is actually doing nothing. But if I pick up my pinky, it adds a color to the chord that's really nice, and then I can add my pinky right back. You hear that in a lot of songs. Just that little movement can create a really great sound. And what's amazing is you can do that on every chord in this shape. So on A, I can do it again, and then on B, I can do it again. And even in C sharp, although it takes a little bit of finagling, I have to swap fingers. I have to trade my pointer finger and my middle finger to make it work. But again, I can do the same thing. Back to the E. So if you're looking for a way to add a whole nother color to the sound of a song in the key of E, you can play up here high on the neck, and you can use, if you get a little more adventurous, you can try to rock that note right there between the 8th and 9th fret to add even a whole nother color. Now the great thing is, you can mix and match the chords I showed you from the last video. Even here, I can start in E, I can run down to C sharp minor here, I can run down to B, and I can run down to A. And that gets me down into this first position where I might be going straight into the chorus or something like that. And then I can always come back up here. So, just a great way to play in E. What do you do when you have G sharp minor? Well, you can either go up here, which I don't really like to do. I usually just use that same. This is the only one that repeats. It's kind of in between the two positions. And so G sharp minor I would still play in this way if I'm playing in these open E chords. So there you have it. Some different ways to play in E, and I'm actually going to give you one more in a video about how to use a cut capo. And then all the chords of E suddenly become one finger chords. That can't be right, can it? It is. So check that video out and find out how to play with a cut capo.